Billy from Permapasture's farm. Well, just had a pretty lengthy conversation with one of my neighbors that I'd never met before that apparently owns the 100 acres next to me. He just got finished going on about this stuff right here. There's a bunch of different names for it, but we'll call it Chinese silvergrass. And he was talking about how it is the scourge of these mountains and how they can't get anything to grow in it, nobody can eat it. None of that stuff at all. And as far as the remedies that we're providing, he wasn't all that interested. And this is typical, it seems. I mean, you take somebody take Greg Judy. And you would think that if you were a neighbor of Greg Judy's and you saw the recovery happening at his place, but not at yours, you think maybe you'd want to adopt some of those practices. Or Joel Salatin, go visit his place. Same thing. You would think if I saw the incredible abundance and the unbelievable lush pastures that they got going on there, you think maybe if I were a neighbor, I'd want to take some of those things? Well, I'm telling you what, old habits die hard, especially when they're generational. How many people in your life have you ever heard say, when you told them, hey, here's a solution to this way, and their response was, well, I'm going to do it this way because it's the way it's always been done. Well, the way it's always been done ever since the government introduced this very, very invasive stuff was just mow it down, let the grass kind of come back up through there, let your animals eat it, and then move them, and then repeat the cycle, put down lime, put down all these other things, these inputs. Well, as he's sitting down there and I'm saying, hey, man, you see this fence line? It doesn't exist here. You can see where it stops and where the other stuff starts. Here's what we've done. Chapter and verse explained it to him, but he didn't want to hear it. But I know you do. So I'm going to tell you what we're doing for all these invasive things that just exist. When we get down to brass tacks, it was my beautiful wife that realized, you know what, this stuff is a mess. What doesn't it like? Well, the first discovery is that it can't stand shade. So whenever there's a good stand of trees there, you won't find this stuff. That's indication number one. Number two is that she came up with this theory that, you know what, since it's not growing in there where there's trees, it won't even grow on the edges of it, really, for the most part. It might have to do with the fact that maybe there's a higher fungal content in those woods that this stuff doesn't like. Well, considering the fact that our pastures should be about 50-50 fungal and bacteria, it only makes good sense that, if we turn our pastures, which, by the way, in most cases are highly bacterial, if we turn them more fungal, then maybe this stuff won't want a home. Well, the first experiment, and admittedly, it was by complete accident, was down there in the food forest. There was lots of this stuff down there, and it ain't coming back. We also noticed that in the woods, this stuff doesn't exist. I've already cleared tons and tons and tons of it. I've probably cleared over 2, maybe 3 acres of it from the fall into this winter. And the way I see it, I probably got a few more acres to do, but I won't get through it all this year. According to the blueprints, the plot plan of my property, I apparently have a fence over here, and I've never seen it because, frankly, we just haven't had time to get to it yet. So we're going to find out if there is, in fact, a fence over here. Here's what really sucks about this stuff. When you weed eat, typically, most green things, you just cut it at the base. This stuff is so tough, I got to cut this thing basically in 4 different layers just to get it all the way out. And then here's the worst part. When you get down to the base, you got to literally take it plumb down to the soil. I'll show you what that looks like. Here's the worst of it. When you get down looking like this, it's like cutting bamboo, so you better have real good string. Man, I've been going through so much string just cutting this stuff, it'll blow your mind. But that's what it takes. It's hard work. Wanted to pause here Look, y'all, in 1 tank of gas, I'm having to string this thing, restring it 4 times. Look, it's a hard lesson, but I assure you it is thoroughly learned. The problem is this thing has been a problem since we got here. And I just did a podcast on negotiating with yourself, or stop negotiating with yourself. Don't worry, it'll all make sense if you go check out the podcast. But the point being is that this stuff sucks so much that I never want to see it back. That's exactly why I've decided more than ever to put foot to butt. But I'll tell you what makes it even worse. All this stuff you see behind me, that's multiflora rose. Also, another indication that your soil is jacked up from the feet up. So I'm going through even more string just getting through it. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying these are the realities of when you're cutting new ground. But the beauty of it is if I can get this done, I'm opening up acres and acres to my sheep. Okay, is it all going to come out this year? Probably not. But the good thing is that with a little bit of elbow grease, and plus, look at it on the bright side, man. I'm also getting a workout doing this stuff because I'm basically going up a mountain. But remember, as I always say, when you do this work, you don't win it in miles. You win it in inches. Well, heavens to Murgatroyd. Found the fence right here, woven wire, barbed wire on top. Even found out that I got neighbors. How about that? Huh. Who knew? So anyway, y'all, the point of it being, look, this has been a chore. This has sucked every step of the way. And I ain't even close to being done. Once I get this out, I got to show you what I'm going to go back and do next. All right, it feels good to actually hit a finish line of sorts. At least I know I got a fence over there, but I've never been able to graze it because it's been impossible to get in there. But the main thing I'm trying to point out in all of this is that if you're cutting new ground, it is going to not be fun. And the way to keep it from happening is good management, good animal husbandry. All these little trees up in here, a lot of them black locust, they're all going to come out. Some of the bigger ones you see behind me, they're going to stay, but I'll thin those out ultimately. But all these little ones coming up through here, they're going to go too. I don't have to do it all this year, but I got to get them out of here. Because like I said, even though you can't tell it, there's a whole lot of grazing room. Well, it's going to be silva pasture actually at first. And then later on, as time goes by, I can decide if I want to do something different with it. But these are the realities of this lifestyle. I know a lot of people get into this and you think it's idyllic, it's all fun and games, and I know you might have a misrepresentation because a lot of us film these videos and you're seeing maybe the highlights. You don't see the weeks, months really, that it took just to get this far. But it is a joy to be able to get there. So anyway, y'all, hopefully this was a blessing to you. And remember, if there's people around you that are doing something that is solving the problem that you're suffering with, look, drop your foolish pride. Go over there, ask how they're doing it. See if you can replicate it. Till next time, this is Billy from Pasture's Farm, where permaculture is my passion. And it's part of it. We'll see you next time.